Hello everyone, my name is Fox. In this video we're going to be taking a look at Gamesir's latest controller add-on for phones, their X2 Pro. This one is designed for Xbox. It includes a GamePass Ultimate subscription in the box, which I'll show you in a moment. Now I've already did an unboxing of this, but I'm going to be doing an unboxing again, so it's like a fake unboxing here. The only differences here between their older version is the D-pad has been updated. This is a split D-pad from the older X1. We can see that these R2 and L2 are digital. They are now Hall-based analog triggers, which is nice to see. For the most part, it's very similar to the other models that they have, but this one specifically having, Xbox branding all over it. So let's go ahead and open it up. Thank you very much to Gamesir for providing this unit to me for review. When we open it up, it also includes its carrying case, so everything is kind of contained inside of that carrying case. The case obviously is to take with you on the go, but I have some misgivings about that because every phone case that I've used with any Gamesir device has not been able to work with a case on, which means that when you're out and about, that this USB-C extendo is not long enough to work with any device that has a case, no matter how thin the case may be. Very quickly, let's go ahead and see what's in this little pamphlet. The more important part in here, and you shouldn't throw this away because they actually include an Xbox Game Pass Ultimate subscription in there, which is what you're going to want. There is a little booklet in here, and only the first few pages are going to be in English, and then they have a bunch of different languages as well. The only important bit in here that I would say is how to configure the back buttons if you wanted to swap the face buttons, which I don't know why you would want to. The back button settings, which we'll get to in a moment, and those can be macro assigned to any of the buttons in the front. The most important part in here is the joysticks and trigger calibration. You're going to press select or view and left trigger for 3 seconds, and then the LED 1 and 2 will flash alternately. Then you'll release them. Then you'll slowly rotate the joysticks at their maximum angles for 3 seconds. So you're going to want to, flex them all the way around, and then slowly press left trigger and right trigger. Again, those are analog now, to their maximum levels for 3 times. Finally, press left bumper and right bumper simultaneously, and then LED and 2 will stop flashing, and that will have properly calibrated your controller. This is the Gamesir sticker, and then you get this as well. So that's everything in there, this one being the most important. But the ability to calibrate the joystick is most important. Let's go ahead and take this out. We'll go ahead and move the case away. Alrighty, so here is the controller. The D-pad and the face buttons are all dome-based, so you can hear it clicking. So they're not membrane-based. I particularly prefer dome-based, so this is a plus to me. We're going to be going over how this D-pad works in-game. The analog sticks are Alps, so they're not Hall-based sensors. There's not magnets. They're traditional-based analog sticks. But the triggers on the back, they are full analog, and these are Hall-based triggers, so they are magnet-based triggers, which is pretty cool to see. So the only other thing that we have here is we have a capture button. This will trigger Android's own capture function, which will take a screenshot of the screen. We have select and start, as well as the addition of the Xbox controller button here. If we were to take a look at the older Gamesir controller, we can see that the design philosophy is pretty much the same. The only difference is like being where the phone is plugged in. But if we take a look at the L1 and R1, the design similarities are pretty close. Overall, it is what Gamesir has developed, and they continue to develop off of this. This has the addition of the Xbox button, which we'll see if it works in XCloud. At this point, I want to show you probably the most frustrating part of all of these types of controllers. You can see right now I have a OnePlus 7 Pro. This is one of my older phones. If you were to just go ahead and connect this, now it doesn't even matter how thin of a case you have. No matter what you do, how thin your case can possibly be, it will never actually connect. So right now, nothing works. So this is the part that's probably most frustrating for me with these Gamesir controllers, is that if, let's say that you were to take this outside with you with the case, right? So you open up your backpack, you take this out of its case, you unzip it, you take this out, unvelcro it, then your phone doesn't actually work with the device. So now you have to take your case off of your device, while you just took this out of its own case, just to get this to operate. All right, we can see right there, right now, that the LED is lit. So now if I were to move around, this actually works. But the premise of this being that will you, while you're outside, bother to take this out of a backpack, take it out of its case, unvelcro it, then take your phone out of its case to plug it in. That's a lot of steps and will take 1 to 2 minutes for you to even get set up before you can even start using the device to play. So the one thing that I continue to ask Gamesir is if they could increase the size of this USB-C extender so that it would actually work with cases on it. That's my one big gripe with this particular controller. Anyway, we're going to go ahead and calibrate the analog. So we're going to go ahead and press select and left trigger for 3 seconds. Okay, now you can see these two are flashing. All right, at this point, we're going to go ahead and move these to their maximum a few times. One, two, three, and now left bumper, right bumper. Oh, we have to hold this. There we go. All right, so now the analog sticks and the triggers have been calibrated. Let's go over to this gamepad tester to see if that's the case. All right, so now we're going to take a look at these gamepads. So the dead zone is pretty wide there. Like you can see it just pop out as soon as I apply any type of pressure here. So if I just push up just a little, it's going. It finally triggered. So the dead zones are a little bit large here. Let's just see what type of range we got here. We have relatively good range here. It doesn't have full range, but it won't be a problem in anything that we particularly have. So this is going to be fine. Let's see if it wants to kind of stick to cardinal directions. It doesn't. There is 0 magnetism for the cardinal directions. Usually you'd see, so if this plus sign, up, down, there is 0 magnetism for wanting to snap to its cardinal axis. I know a lot of people that really like this. For what it's worth, I prefer this because you're basically getting raw input here. You're not getting anything that is assisted in terms of what you're looking at. And we're able to paint this area really, really well with what we're wanting here. So overall, these analog sticks, I would have preferred full range, but after we just calibrated it, honestly, that is completely fine. So that's really good to see. Let's see if we can see gamepad. All right, so analog triggers are working perfectly fine. Let's go ahead and test out the D-pad and see how this works in practice. You know, the D-pad is relatively good. I think it's a little bit small for my taste, but overall tactility and responsiveness is fine. I think it has a slight bit of a learning curve, but overall it's actually a good D-pad. But considering that you're going to be playing games that most likely are analog dominant because obviously this is designed for Xbox, let's go ahead and take a look at Xbox XCloud and see what it looks like there. So the one thing I did want to point out here before obviously going to the recommended feature of the X2 controller for XCloud purposes is to see if this works with Android games itself. So this is Minecraft, the Android version, and the controller works just as you would expect it to. So that's just something that I wanted to kind of just show off real quick, that if you wanted to get this also for Android gaming, it does work there just fine. It operates as an Xbox controller. All right, so here I'm loading up Skyrim. Now this is actually something that's pretty interesting, I would say, is that I have been playing, well, I'm replaying Skyrim, but I'm replaying it via XCloud only. Now, I have not been doing it on the X2. I've actually been doing it on the GPT XP Plus, and I've been keeping that device near my couch. Basically, whenever I'm just hanging out with my family and we're all just sitting on the couch watching TV, I'll just pick it up and, you know, play through a couple of quests or a single dungeon and then shut it off from there. So I myself have been enjoying playing it through XCloud itself, and you can see the analog sticks working just perfectly here. And we're going to play a game like Forza Horizon 5 to kind of test out the analog sticks. But again, this is going to be dependent on your internet connection. Right now, I have a lot of stuff going on my network My network is a bit congested, and it's still going pretty fine. Let's see if the Xbox button works, and it does. Very nice. So go ahead and quit the game. Let us load up Forza Horizon 5. And here we will test out if the analog triggers work. Alright, so now what we're going to do is test out the analog triggers. In games, and like racing games explicitly, you're going to want to feather the analog. Yeah, baby. Very cool. So here's my take. The X2 Pro controller from Gamesir is without a doubt my favorite controller add-on that Gamesir has produced so far. Specifically, having that Xbox button is really nice because I tend to want to use the Xbox GamePass XCloud support on these devices, but more to the point, the actual better D-pad that's on here and full analog triggers without having that big blocky cooler that requires power to actually work. I prefer this particular setup overall from all of Gamesir's add-on controllers. However, that being said, the point of the USB-C controller, the USB-C connector, not being long enough to kind of facilitate phones with cases kind of makes this a weird recommendation. I don't see anyone taking this out with them because it would be frustrating to use. You're going to have to put this out of its case, take it out of the backpack, take it out of its case. Then you're going to have this add-on just hanging around. Then you're going to have to take your phone and take the case off of your phone and then connect it. It's a lot of moving parts just to even jump into a game. Unless you're the type of person that is just going to raw dog your phone and not have a case when you're out and about, this USB-C connector not being long enough is probably the Achilles heel of this device in and of itself. It does work just fine. The other thing to note is that this pass-through right here does not work with all phones, and it's for power only, so it can't be used for data. So there is limited functionality with this pass-through. Obviously, if you're playing XCloud, it's not going to be using a bunch of power as it is. Ultimately, to wrap up this review, I find it, once again, hard to recommend one of these devices. If you were going to have this permanently connected to a device, perhaps you wanted to buy a used Android phone, you'll just have it always connected, I can recommend it there, because then at that point, you pretty much have an Android gaming console that you've made yourself, which is fine. Then I can see an avenue for there. But if you were planning on taking this out with you and using your phone in real time, I think it's a little bit too cumbersome, and you won't actually use it. Otherwise, it actually is my favorite controller add-on from Gamesir today. So that's my review of the X2 Pro. If you were going to have it permanently connected, yes. If you were going to take it out with you as a travel controller, I don't really see how it's going to work out. Anyway, that's it for this review. As always, guys, thank you for your time, and thanks for watching.